Hi, this is Kristi from birdmentor.com, and thanks for joining me today. Isn't it exciting to think that there might actually be a way that you can feed the birds in the wintertime without having to buy a bunch of birdseed? Yeah, and the thing is that bird food can be really expensive after a while, and it can even get kind of messy and start to draw in rodents and critters like the bear. Also, you end up with a whole bunch of sunflower and millet plants growing all over your yard. And on top of that, it gets kind of like to be a pain in the butt after a while to clean out your feeders, which is really essential if you want to do good by the birds, because if you don't clean out your feeders, there's a chance that you could spread contagious diseases, which does happen. So what can you do if you love feeding the birds in the winter and you love the idea of giving them a little extra support during the colder months? The absolute best thing you can do, though you might not like what I'm about to say, but listen up because I think it's really important, is to become one with your messiness. All right, so here's what I'm suggesting. And that is that you leave your dry flower stalks up in the fall. So don't cut them down. I know. All of you tidy gardeners right now are saying, oh, but how could I? It's gonna look terrible. Well, let me just tell you the reason why I think it's such a phenomenal and really important benefit to the birds. The first and most obvious is that the birds get to access the seeds contained inside the dry flower heads. But even cooler is that once that flower head breaks off, then the birds get to access the insects that are caught inside the top of the flower head. So every day I get to watch, namely the chickadees and the juncos, and on some of the more sturdy stalks, the woodpeckers come by and just dig in at the top of that flower stalk. All right, now, even cooler than that is that it's not only the top of the stalk that they get into. The other day I got to watch one of the chickadees, who comes all the time, land about midway up the flower stalk and just start to peck the heck out of the stalk itself until it pulled out some little unsuspecting critter that it got to nibble on for lunch. The second thing you can do is to provide dense, low-growing shrubs. Now, there are all sorts of great resources out there to help you find the shrubs that are most bird-friendly in your area, but I just don't want you to worry about it all that much. I know sometimes people get all sorts of, they get concerned about finding the perfect one for the birds, and then they worry so much they don't ever do it. But as long as you provide the shrub, the birds are gonna come. And sure, if your shrub is one that has more berries on it, you're gonna get more birds, of course. But honestly, a shrub is much more than a food source alone. It's a safety edge. So ground feeding birds feel most safe when a dense, low-growing shrub is within a foot or two away from them. They'll root around under the leaf litter, that's if you didn't tidy it up in the fall, and the grass right beside that shrub. And then in the spring, these shrubs make a wonderful nesting habitat for songbirds. The upside of this bird-friendly approach to gardening is that there's less work to do in the fall. So during that time when you're already hustling around to harvest your vegetables in the garden and put your garden to bed, you'll have less to do. Plus, when those few warm days of spring come, the ones that always trick everybody into getting out there and planting seeds too early because they just want to get out there and do something, well, you'll have work to do. I'd call that a win-win, wouldn't you? All right, so even if you don't feel comfortable letting your whole garden go wild for the fall and winter, then just maybe choose a little portion of it, maybe one kind of off toward the end of your yard or something to give to the birds. I promise you'll have more birds in your yard if you do that. All right, until next time, please get out there and help spread some bird love in the world. Thanks for joining me.